thank you all for coming to our second MichMATYC sharing session. And this is a topic that we've had a lot of suggestions on having on assessment, since it seems like a really hot topic right now, especially this semester, probably ongoing for next semester as well, for most of us, if not all of us. So I have a series of questions that I would like to have answered, but I'm just wondering what you all want to talk about with assessment. So the first question I have is, just to get us started, what types of assessment have you used this semester while you're teaching online or teaching on an online hybrid class or whatever format you're teaching? What types of assessment have you used? So Julie, you want to start?
I can. So Julie Gunkelman, OCC, president-elect. That's why I was teasing Mike about the torch yet. It hasn't been handed off yet. I still got 6 months. So I have been, I've been giving, quote unquote tests. They probably are not, I know that they're not the same as what I gave before because, trying to assess some of the skills that we normally would have assessed are nearly impossible now because of these guys, right? I mean, the phone kind of does everything. So I'm trying to ask questions that promote a little bit deeper understanding. Like, do you really understand this? Can you apply it in a situation? Probably a little bit more word problems. For my math literacy class that is in my quantitative reasoning class that are the non-STEM, it's so much easier. It's so much easier to come up with authentic problems that's a little bit different in the situation that they can apply the math because that's what they've been taught anyway. It's a little harder in my STEM class, my college algebra class in particular this semester. I'm struggling with that a little bit. I have been using group quizzes. And they think it's a quiz. I call it a quiz. It's not a true quiz, of course. It's just I'm trying to get them to work together, right? And they kind of practice some of the problems. They have a chance to talk about it. And I do grade everyone individually. It's not like a group grade, but that has been, helping a little bit. I did weight homework a little bit more this semester too, and weighted the tests a little bit less. So I tried that as well.
Just so you all know, I'm taking notes so that way they can be posted on the website and shared with everyone as well. So just to let you all know. Names not included.
but it's being recorded, so I don't think that unless I change my name that people won't be able to figure it out. But
unless you want to compare the video with the notes taken, I don't know how many would do that. But
I would, because in the last meetup session, there's a few typos in the meeting notes, but I forgot to pass them along to you. But I'll say that one thing that my strategy, going into the semester is different than what it is now. So I started out the semester thinking that, I'll have discussion boards and and ask them the deeper understanding questions and things like that. And then I locked down the discussion board so that the students couldn't post until after they see a reply, see the replies until after they post it, right? But then I had this clever student who got around it by posting a period so that it would unlock. And then he took and copied and pasted another student's discussion post and then posted it as his own and didn't even change anything. And this happened 3 weeks in a row. And so after the first, I gave him the warning and whatnot. And finally, after the third time, I said, you know what, you're out of here. And so after that, though, I haven't done any discussion forums or the rest of the weeks. I've just been giving them like a 2 or 3 problems and having them upload it as a PDF and then grading them all individually, because that deeper knowledge stuff, it wasn't it wasn't getting me like the results I wanted. So I have them asking me more questions about the problems that are like freehand responses than I am about the deeper understanding problems. I'm actually seeing their handwritten work, and they're less opposed to like uploading it when it's like 2 or 3 problems at a time and not like a whole test. And it's a little bit less for me to grade it that way also. So I have noticed that like the number one thing that I have seen, especially in Calc 2 class, is I really thought that there is a high risk of them like going to Wolfram Alpha or wherever and just finding the integral answer and entering it. But the types of questions that they're asking me tells me that the majority of them are not doing that, because they're saying like, hey, like I've been doing it and trying to check my answer, but like this isn't coming out that what I expected it to be. And then one time I just flat out said, you know, like, all right, here's a problem. I'm going to show you how they did it. And it took about, well, I wasted, well, I don't want to say wasted, but I in my mind, it was kind of a 45-minute rabbit hole of different techniques that really didn't make any sense. And then they like the chat was hilarious, because I had comments like is that is a computer on drugs? Like, why would they choose that technique to proceed with the problem? And I'm like, well, this is exactly why, like you have to know the techniques. And so I feel like I am being more out of having them try them than by asking them the deeper understanding problems, I guess.
Is that the problem? Are you talking about the problem that you posted in the project access group about the partial fraction decomposition? Where the students had, like, the student had, like, how could the student solve this problem without using this Wolfram Alpha partial
well, that
fraction
wasn't, so actually I'm not the one who posted that problem, but I used that problem as the motivation to show them. That's the problem I end up doing, is the motivation to show them that the Wolfram Alpha output isn't always you know, the best. And so I mean, for some reason they really loved that.
Good. Barbie, what are you doing?
So I am not being creative at all. And basically, I mean, I'm just teaching our math literacy class, so I don't have the STEM students that can take a picture with their phone this semester. With the math literacy stuff, I have changed the problems, you know, just they're a little bit more interesting, more timely, those sorts of things, but, and I'm not proctoring. Homework's worth more, and Excel's worth more. And right. I've changed the Excels a little bit so they have a little bit more thinking besides just the computation. But yeah, I'm very much in the non-creative. That's why I keep coming to these, because I need some ideas on how to make this better. But I also don't think they're cheating a lot. So because it's math lit and they can't just take a picture, and if they are actually working together, they're turning in their own work, and it's different. You know, different enough that I'm not like, oh, these people are cheating. So right. Yeah, so it's I'm just
like blatantly obvious that's the same.
Right, yeah. So I'm just like trying to take it all in for when I'm trying to do an online class, and just see like when people are coming to me like, what the heck can we do with all this cheating? How I can help them. That's where I am.
Right. I was just going to say Caroline and then gone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, this is Homa Gausi. I'm actually proctoring an exam right now. My class is taking a test from 4 to 6. I am in WebEx. That's why I don't have my webcam off for here. I just had to answer some questions. So here I'm just looking at that. If they have questions, I will answer that. But for my classes, they have to take the tests and WebAssign this semester.
Okay.
I sit here in WebEx room, and if they have questions, they can stop, ask me.
Okay.
And I have them write their solutions on paper, take a picture and attach it in WebAssign. They can do that. I grade the exams myself. I don't, because WebAssign doesn't know how to grade, especially with partial credit. They know that I grade the exams and I send them feedback. That's very easy to do with WebAssign. But I don't know if, I think, well, for this class, I'm sure they're all taking the exam. No one else is taking the exam for them. But for my pre-calc, I have 3 sections. Sometimes for some students, I have doubts. I don't know. I cannot tell if the students are taking the exam or someone else.
Right.
And we have discussed I have 2 kids in MSU, and with their exam, the TA watch them. They have to turn on their webcam. So do you guys have any solutions? How do we tell that the students are doing the work, they're taking the exams, other than looking at their handwriting? I do require that they take a picture of all the work, and they have to show the work. And I try to ask questions so that they cannot just type it somewhere, get an answer. They have to show the work. I ask for definitions, use the definition to do this and that. But still, how can you tell that they're actually taking the exams?
It's so hard, Homa. It's so hard. So I do collect a lot of things, I think, along the way and see their handwritten work so that I kind of know, are they really turning it in, or is it them at least turning it in?
Yeah.
I tried in my math lit, I did part of my exam was group this time, just because of the content, and I only do it the one time. I only plan on doing it the one time, but just that way that they can kind of check with each other, like, did I get this linear regression correct? Because if you don't answer that question correctly, all the ones below it that I just asked you 50 points about out of 100, you can't answer, right? So I did let them double check with each other on that. And so they kind of met, we've all met on Zoom. I put them into their breakout room. So I kind of got to see everybody, which was nice. I think it was before you joined that I was talking about one of my students took the test in a parking lot last night outside of a Starbucks. So
yeah, I heard part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one faculty member who, for like the first assignment of the semester, had students do a practice, turn in a PDF, right? So scan with their phone, and she had very specific things she wanted them to scan, and like the first page they had to put their driver's license and scan their driver's license, but cross off the important stuff. But scan your driver's license, write a few, like she had them write a few sentences on the next page, and then sign their name or something. So she had some stuff, but then she's been emailing me actually, because she's like, this one student has never given me like the full driver's license. And she goes, and so then, when the student shows up for Zoom proctoring, she can look and say, oh yeah, that's what I'm expecting. But she's like, one student, she goes, I don't know if it's the real person or not. The driver's license has never been clear, or something's been smudged out, or she's like, do you have a picture as our department chair? And I don't have a picture of this student, like through colleague or whatever, but that's how she's handling like is it the right person?
Wow.
So I'll say that, like, no matter what you do, you're not going to catch every student. So I wouldn't hurt beat yourself up in any case. But I'll say that what I'm actually doing is I'm actually not giving any exams except for the final. But the final exam is just like, I'm not even proctoring it. It's like a 1-week window for them to take it, but they have to get 60% or higher on it in order to pass the entire class. So I put that sort of guideline on it. So I said, you're having the occasional, like the weekly turn-in problems or discussions, and you're having the weekly online quizzes that are the normal, like online quizzes. But if you're not putting in the work, then you won't be able to get 60% or higher, and if you are, then the 60% or higher should be easy. Just take your notes and keep an organized notebook, and the problems will be almost similar to the quizzes and discussion problems. I would say like some of them might even be the same, and so they're keeping their notebook. So I can tell they're keeping their notebooks because I have a couple of students who come for office hours, at least like more students than ever actually, but they come on a regular basis and they're holding up pages and pages and pages of stuff, and I don't know like if they have a lumber yard in their backyard or what, where they're getting all this paper from. But I will say that one thing that might be preventative of like that I actually found was I make the students work in order in the modules, so they can't like just skip around to what they think that they know. So the first thing is view the syllabus, and then do the biography, and then do this, and then read the textbook, then do the quiz, read the textbook, do the quiz. And I had a student who could not figure out why the first quiz was not opening for him. And I had emailed him for like 3 weeks about, you have not done your biography. I figured out what it was. And of course, it wasn't that hard to figure out, I guess. But my assumption is that he had hired somebody to do the quizzes and thought that he could just pass by doing that. But then when he realized, well, like I can't afford to pay the person to do the biography and read the syllabus and like go through, like they're not gonna click through all of the other stuff. Like he wanted to send them directly to my math lab or Newton or whatever the homework system is, like to do the work. And when I said it all has to be accessed through Canvas, and he couldn't just send somebody to an external site, he was then begging me for extensions on the stuff he was behind on, and he hasn't got above 60 or 70% on a single quiz. So I realized that I busted him by making him go in order. And so it's just the little things like that, like if they can't access it through an external site and they have to go in the order you tell them. Like one lady today complained that the quiz was locked, and it turns out like, well, I had been announcing the quiz dates in the Zoom lectures, and she just like there's some disconnect for her. So this isn't, I told her like I'll give you an extension this one time, but I think there are students out there who that would be a preventative measure for, like they have to work at our pace and not just like pay somebody to do the whole course for them all at once. So anyway, that's a thought.
Well, welcome, Lisa and Ida.
Hi, guys. I lost track of time.
But that's okay. That's okay. So we were just sharing so far what we have been doing for assessments. So what have you been doing for assessments?
What have I been doing? So we're using Canvas for the very first time. So I've been using Canvas quizzes, which are open book, open note kind of thing. And I'm surprised how terrible they do on those. And then I'm using Canvas Lockdown browser for the tests.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, we don't have a lockdown browser. So.
I think it's working because the test scores are about the same as they always have been in my class. I'm sure there's some that would have done better, a more traditional way where I can do extra credit, or not extra credit, but partial credit.
Right.
And then there's others that are just kind of getting by without really learning it. So I don't know.
I know it's hard. That's hard. Ida, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing that I've been doing, like tests and quizzes. I upload them on D2L.
Okay.
I feel like the average isn't a lot better. So I don't think there's that much cheating. I do give them, it is timed. I give them like an extra 30 minutes than I would from class time, just so that they can like upload it or print it out. But I think it's been working pretty good.
Good. Mike, you didn't tell us what you were doing. You asked the question and got us all talking for 20 minutes.
Well, I mean, this semester I'm doing something incredibly different than I did back in April or back in March and April. Back in the spring semester, I was keeping things as close as I could to an in-person class. So the students had to print the exams and then they had to scan them and send them back. And the same thing for all the quizzes as well. Even though beforehand the quizzes were already take-home quizzes, so the students had due dates. They would finish the topic in class one day and the quiz will be due the next time. I kept that same format in the spring, and that was a ton of work. I basically printed out every single student quiz, and then I graded it, and then I rescanned it, and then uploaded it. That was too much.
Wow.
So this semester, I'm just doing everything on D2L. Every student quiz, there's like 3 versions of every quiz and 3 versions of every exam. I'm basically created like a pool of questions that D2L can just pull from the pool. And yeah, like everyone else is saying, the averages are basically the same that I'm usually found in the previous semesters. They're like low 80s usually on the average. So yeah. I'm not like it's about the same number of students who are not passing the exams as before. So in terms of the questions, I'm trying to get them to have, I developed questions in D12 where I actually have the students show me their steps from one step to the next, and I have to grade them, but I do that for at least 3 or 4 problems on every test. They have to show me step by step what they're doing. And I try to get D2L to automatically grade it for me to reduce some work on me, but it's so difficult with D2L because D2L does not like spacing in the answers. So you put an extra space after a comma, it marks it wrong, but it's the correct answer. So that takes some time to go back and just grade, but having the students at least show some of the algebra steps, step by step, is kind of useful, especially since I'm teaching college algebra and developmental algebra this semester.
So how do you get them to show their steps? Are they typing it in?
Like if it's having students write the vertex form,
yeah,
I have them, what is the x coordinate of the vertex, and show me your work. And they have like a little text box where they show their work on how they got the x coordinate.
Okay.
Then what's the y coordinate, and then show me your work. And then what is the leading coefficient in vertex form? And it's just step by step by step. And then the very last question is, what is the final vertex form? Something like that, just something,
okay.
Something simple.
You can have them add a picture, but it seems so hard for them. Like they can't figure, like I tried it on a quiz and I said, hey, if you don't want to type this out, and 2 people did it out of 30, right? So I'm like, well, that's not going to work. Even on a Desmos activity today, I asked my teacher students to upload a picture of what they wrote down and they couldn't figure it out. Literally it's a plus sign and then the picture on Desmos. It's not that hard.
The only time I've used the upload feature is with graphing. I want to make sure they can hand graph.
Okay.
Especially quadratic and polynomial functions.
And they can figure that out.
Well, maybe I explained it okay, but
maybe.
They just, the smart students, the really smart students, put all their solutions on one page and just uploaded the same document 3 or 4 times.
Oh.
But most students, they kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
They at least labeled it for me.
Yeah.
Like this is number 1, this is number 6, this is number 12.
So I've been meaner. I've given them the graph and said, what's the equation?
Yeah.
Right. So that's a harder question, right? But I would do that on campus if they've got a graphing calculator on their test. It's the same kind of thing, right? But for some reason on D2L, it seems more intimidating than if it was on a piece of paper and I asked it, and I don't know why. don't know why.
But that exact problem you're talking about, I put, instead of having them upload their work, I just had type all your work into the text box.
Okay.
Like that exact problem. It was a quadratic function. Tell me the standard form and the vertex form, whatever you want to call it, general form, and just show me all that work.
So I'll tell you that, like, I had the first 2 weeks of this semester, I had issue with students not knowing how to upload things, but after they realized I wasn't going to take no for an answer and it must be uploaded as a PDF, and I wouldn't accept it by email if they couldn't figure out how to upload it, I haven't had a single problem after the first 2 weeks. So, like, I actually, like, during the class, for students who can't share the screen, they figured out how to send me their pictures of their work in the Zoom chat and upload it. So I really realized that I just had to get through the first couple of weeks, and then it seemed a lot less bad.
I'm not talking about sending a document separately. That mine are all trained to do a PDF because I don't accept anything else. It's inside that actual test on D2L. You can have them upload an image for that one problem.
Oh, I actually did do that though. Like, but the very first discussion board was upload your work like as a PDF, and I showed them. I made a video of me like pressing the little image. And after one person attached the image to the post instead of embedding it, I gave her a 0 and said, like, you have to go back and embed it, and she did. So, like, I don't know, like, maybe I'm even tougher than you, Julie. Like, I'm just like, you have to do it this way.
A practice quiz. I said, oh, no points for you. I did the whole thing. It was worth the pain.
But in terms of, like, getting back to, like, one of your questions, Mike, about what are people doing differently, one of my classes have been more receptive to me trying new things than the other. So my trig class this semester, they love every new thing I try. So it's a new thing at least once a week. So they seem to really love Jeopardy though, which I can't figure out why. And they love the Kahoot, and they love the Quiz IZ, and they love the Zoom polling, and but the other classes, like, I don't know, like, I don't really understand, like, anything beyond, like, some classes just have a better group dynamic than others, whether it's online or not. So I don't think that, like, spinning our wheels about, like, how do we get them engaged, if it happens to be a group that just doesn't want to engage, then, you know, like, all these things are nice if the students actually want them. So I already know that in one of my classes, the same class where I had the cheater on the discussion boards, of course, but that some of them are not, like, they come to the live lecture because they know I'm taking attendance. But when I send them to breakout rooms, they don't go. When everyone else leaves, they're still in the class. So I also know that when I send them to breakout rooms and have them work in groups, there's a couple of students who, whenever we have a breakup room, that's when they actually show up for class. So one of their friends is texting them saying, we have a breakout room, you better get here or you'll lose points on that problem. So I really, like, how do you get past those people? Because I have these in-class engagement points so that I can give them credit, you know, like, and see where they're at before they do the homework. Especially since the homework is kind of high stakes because I'm not having tests. So I don't know how to get around the issues where we're trying to do new things, but they're not accepting of it.
Right. I don't give them points in those situations because I do give them some little points to come every day as well. But I call them engagement points, and you can't just, like, put your name on the black box on the screen. I've seen all my students except for one who legit doesn't have a camera. I've seen every one of them. And it's better in small groups, like if I go visit the Zoom rooms, than if it's in the big class, for sure.
Can you require? Oh, sorry.
No, I've been using the polls in the Zoom.
Yeah.
I'll do 2 to 3 polls a class, usually 2. And I just, most of the time, everyone's coming, staying the whole time and participating. I do feel that some of them just kind of answer my questions without really doing the work. And so they're getting the points for that.
Mhm.
But every once in a while I have one that just kind of disappears, and I'll give him 1 out of 5 points because he showed up, but he's not participating in the polls. But I feel like most of them are showing up, doing what they need to do, whether they're passing it. I have people that don't do anything else but come to Zoom. They don't do the homework, the quizzes, the tests, anything. They just hang out at Zoom.
Well, you're a lifeline for them. Yeah.
Let's see. So the next question, or just to move everything along, I think the next question I was going to ask is, because we touched on most of these things I had questions about. What can we do about proctor testing in an online environment? Because we touched on this a little bit, but not a lot on it. Like, it seems like even like Homa and I are at the same college. Homa's proctoring test this semester, I'm not in my classes. So it seems like even at the same college, we're doing entirely different things. Or even if within one class, maybe one section's having proctor test and another section's not. So I just like to hear a little bit about proctor testing.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you because my college has, and I was on the committee who investigated this at my college, and I was against it because of what you just said. Like, we're never going to get everyone to agree on doing one thing anyway. But my college has got a contract starting next semester of one of the major proctoring companies that starts with one of the ones that starts with a P. This isn't a commercial presentation, so I'm not saying which one, but one of the ones that starts with a P, and there's several of them, but I was against it for that reason, because I am not going to use it unless I'm forced to, because students will find a way to get around it if they really want to. So I would rather just build the student trust and hope for the best whenever we do actually return to campus. So if ever at this point.
I felt that way until last week, John.
Yeah, Julie emailed me last week. When is the proctoring service going to be here?
I've just had it, and it's the STEM students. It's not my nonsense. It's not my teachers. And teachers is hard too, because of all the drawing that they normally do, right? For all the manipulative teachers, I mean, they're supposed to be showing me these things. So instead, they have to do a harder question too, because I'm giving them the diagram and saying, what is this? Because it's easy. Like, it's easier for me to get back and forth with them. Right? I mean, it's hard. I've been like launching questions on D2L for the whole test. I'm not giving them like a normal, like, like your piece of paper or whatever. Doing the pools, just like Mike was talking about, grabbing them all kinds of crazy, and I'm still having horrible issues with my STEM students. So I dropped the hammer. I've got a proctor for the rest of the semester. It's got to happen.
So I got an email from one of my former students like earlier this week that sort of made me feel a little bit more comfortable about my decision, like just to give a final only. And so he was a student who started with me in, oh boy, a long time ago, but he started in I think intermediate algebra, and then took like college algebra, and then trig, and then calc 1, and then calc 2, and then calc 3, and then differential equations. And finally, he's over at Western in his last like semester of like aerospace engineering or something like that. And so I did the differential equations with him as an independent study. And so, and the trig is an independent study. And so, like as part of that agreement to do that for him, I made him let me try out new techniques on him. So, so one of the things for differential equations I tried was like a project approach. And so I said at the end of the semester, you just go ahead and pick up a project and analyze it from every single, like pick one technique from every chapter and go for it. And he did some like research paper on a problem where he solved every differential equation by hand, then got a computer simulated answer. And so he told me in his email this week, if it weren't for that differential equation project, I probably wouldn't be able to get through this last class of mine, because our term paper has like some simulations in it, and I already had that code written from when I did that project. So like I told him when he did the project that had to be like a real world project that he thought that he would use in the future. And so like this isn't like the first student I've heard something similar about, like that their project helped them in the future. So if it's within some reasonable guidelines, I almost feel more comfortable like letting them loose on some project and then a final exam. And for his trig class, oh boy, like I'll tell you, when I did the independent study with him, this is the funniest story though, and then I'll let Mike ask whatever ridiculous questions you might have left, Mike. But I told him as part of the independent study that we had an agreement that there were no tests, but he had to get a 70% or higher on the final within 2 attempts. So, and if he didn't get a 70%, the first time he could try again. The first time he got exactly 70%. And I could see like he had tears of joy in his eyes when I came back and said, you don't have to take it a second time. So like the fact that like if they know that like this is the standard, like you're going to get 60 or 70% or higher, I really think that most of them will. But I had that like you can take it a second time in there just to alleviate the pressure, but like he didn't need it. So I really, I don't know, I guess I'm not as concerned as I would be if I wouldn't have had this experience.
So one of my colleagues, Sheila, she's teaching the teacher class as well. So she uses both the lockdown browser on the computer, and she makes them put their phone on Zoom, and she watches them while they do it on a lockdown browser. Pretty intense.
Yeah, my son has to take an exam like that tonight for computer science. So, yeah.
Yeah, at MSU, most classes are like that too, both graduate and undergraduate. They're watching them take the exams. But when I tried to do it, I asked some people here, and they said that might not be a good idea to watch students, to have them turn on their webcam with privacy issues, and I don't know what other problems. But we were told to avoid asking students to turn on their webcam while taking the test. What do you guys think of that? Why?
So personally, I think my son has not done this. I'm not saying that he has, but I'm worried that a student could just take video of them, you know, like pretending to work, and they could just put that in the background. And that could be there, and they could not even be there anymore, or they could have their, you know, do something like that. So that's, and what kind of recourse do we actually have, or what recourse do we have if they get up and leave the room, right? Like they get off a camera. What could you can't do anything. You can't go to their house, you know?
So my college had an issue with this past semester, and I've been struggling with this also, but so my college has a new policy starting next semester that if we have it in our syllabus that there's an assignment that requires video, then we can require it for that assignment. So I'm thinking about requiring like an oral exam, like on video, so that like I can see them. Like otherwise, we were told we can't require it unless it's like in the syllabus that, and it's an assignment that warrants having video. But like doing a problem, no. But if you have to like have them like give a speech or do a demonstration or something that will warrant having the video on, then you can require it. So I might go that route, and like just if it's once, even like not even every time, but just once, I would like to just see them. And I'm almost wondering, like if I haven't decided if I want to do it like toward the. I really would rather do one toward the beginning rather than wait all the way till the end, even.
Yeah.
I tried to use the lockdown browser last spring, and I had them upload files, and I found out that was a problem too. With the lockdown browser, and they had to use their phone and drop the file and Google maybe or some other drives, some location, and then upload it.
Wow, I know it's a pain.
It does sound like all your all's colleges are looking into proctor testing, though, like John at Macomb and Oakland and Kalamazoo, at least. Like at LCC, it doesn't even seem like we're having a discussion on proctor testing. It's just
This Friday we will.
Oh, this Friday?
Yes.
I don't know if we're at the like that's our department meeting. I don't know if the college is having a discussion on it. Like,
oh, that's right. I don't know. Yeah.
they look like the college, as far as I understand, the college looked into the possibility of hiring a third party, but didn't want to pass, like they didn't want to pay themselves and didn't want to pass on the payment down to the student either. So they just conceded non-proctored the whole year.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. What happened to our testing center? We used to have all the online students used to go take the test there.
That actually reminded me. So we had, like, at the last webinar, who was it? At St. Clair County Community College, they are actually still using.
I know.
I can't remember her name. Like, they actually are using their testing center this semester, and the professors are just going to pick up the exams, drop off and pick up the exams. So other colleges are using their testing centers.
I know, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I found out that I can use my, they didn't tell us until after the semester started, of course, because they didn't want people sending classes and classes and classes of people over there. But I found out that my college's testing center is open, but that's primarily because it's in the behind the tutoring center, and so since the nursing classes are still on campus, and like a lot of the labs are still on campus, so the tutoring centers have to be open for students to go and like practice with the model skeletons and whatever. And so that meant that either the whole library was open or not open, and so they elected to keep the testing center open too. So I could use it, but I haven't, like, the only reason why I feel like I would use it now is if, like, I had a student who emailed me and said, like, I missed the online test. Well, then you're going to go in and have it proctored if you want it made up.
That's a good idea.
Mhm.
So since we're getting really close to our time is for the webinar, the last thing I was going to ask everyone is, what are you planning on doing differently for assessment next semester, knowing on what you know now for the fall? And it does sound like your colleges are having some, like they're already implementing some things that you can do differently, but what is one thing that you will do differently?
Well, I feel like I've said too much already, but I'll say something to the effect of most of what I learned this semester is not going to be useful next semester because I'm teaching completely different classes. So next semester I'm teaching linear algebra, differential equations, calculus 1, pretty much none of the same classes next semester is what I'm teaching right now. So like I can't even like take what online assessments I had this semester and tweak them. I have to like start all over, make the same mistakes again, and then hopefully like come out better on the other side. But I am going to try to do more projects, maybe an oral exam, like try to be a little bit more on top of things than I was, because I think that for me, I got behind in the first couple of weeks because of the shock of how many email messages from students I was going to get. And so now that I'm mentally prepared for it, I'm hoping that like I'll be able to filter through them a little bit more easily next semester and go with the few canned responses that I wouldn't have done this semester.
John, what are you using for linear algebra and differential equations? I teach both classes too. I taught it in the spring semester, and in the spring, I just uploaded my exams in D2L. They took the exam and they uploaded their solution. I downloaded a grade, and that was a lot of work. And also I found out that some of them just, while taking the exam, they watched my lecture videos in D2L. So the next semester, I'm planning to use my MATLAB for tests for linear algebra and WebAssign for DiffyQ. That way, at least all the students will have different exams. At least they're not taking the same exam. Yeah.
No, I understand. Like so I am going to use WebAssign for both of them because I've used WebAssign for linear algebra for like 4 or 5 years now. So I have my linear algebra WebAssign assignment set up, and that's how we're going to go. I did not use WebAssign for differential equations the last 2 times I taught it because both of the times it was like and this is very, very rare, but like but we've had an increase in number of differential equation students lately, and so like my sections have been added at the last minute, and so the textbook was already chosen, and so I had to go along with it. So this time, like I knew in advance, so I chose WebAssign. I'm trying to be intentional about the questions I pick, and also I'm planning to use some of the semi-owed differential equation projects. There's like a linear algebra project bank out there that I'm going to pick from. So I'm going to do a
there
mixture.
are some nice projects. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to do a mixture of project-based learning and WebAssign to get like the technical like day-to-day procedural stuff graded.
Are you using Zell?
Yeah, Zoe for the differential equations. Yeah, like it's the only one with any online homework for that class. Anyway, I think as far as I found.
Yeah, it's a good book. I like the problem sets. It actually teaches the students, make them think about the definitions and go back and have a good understanding. I like the problem sets in that book.
Yeah, the book is good, but the actual text isn't. The actual narrative is not enough for them.
Yeah, and there are lots of typos.
I don't know what I'm going to do different. I don't know.
I don't really either. I don't think I'm to that point of figuring that out.
I don't think so.
Is it going to be just another semester? I'm hope this is spring going to be it, right? We're going to go back.
Don't
You wanna
know.
share your news, John?
I wouldn't bet on that if I were you.
Yeah.
Like Homa, I think our meeting on Friday is to discuss the possibility of things not going back, like planning for next fall. That's what I think.
We're only allowed to have 2 classes that either are face-to-face or hybrid next fall. Everything else has to be completely online or Zoom.
It's not looking good. My college is on my department at least is online through May of 2022 now. So
Really?
I'm expecting it to be extended to 2023 shortly.
Wow.
But I part of it's because this was a really bad timing, but my college went to year-round, not scheduling, but year-round registration. So they want students to know what their classes a year from now, what those classes will look like.
Yeah.
So
I need to see people more often. I'm not good at this job this way. I'm okay at this job this way, but I need to see people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, some people say, or my colleagues are saying they just don't like it this way.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. So I also said hi to Dan. Is that you, Dan? The number?
I'm not talking.
Hi, everyone.
You're a little late, Dan.
I know. I had other obligations.
I didn't want to leave without at least saying hi. How's
No
it
worries.
going?
I'll see you at the meeting. Good. I
I
can't
know you'll
complain.
see me on Thursday, yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. I just wrote down May of 2022 and that kind of freaked me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we're there yet.
No.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
what makes me really think about it is that so John told me that his college was, John told me that when his college had decided that this fall was going to be online back in March, and LCC was within the next day. So I'm just thinking it might just be a trickle down. Like one college decided another year online, maybe the next college will decide the same. So I don't know.
The only thing I like about this is the office hours. The students can ask questions anytime, any day. You just sit face to face and talk. You don't have to wait till the next day you go to your office to see them.
It's true.
Got to look for the silver lining wherever it is.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Well, thanks for coming, you guys.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else, Mike?
I was just going to say that if there's we had this webinar on assessment because everyone like wanted to have a discussion on assessment. So what are some other topics that you all can think of that we might want to have back when we start this webinar again in January? Barbie?
Math discussion boards.
Okay.
That's my thing right now. I've been going to lots of these and just trying to learn about math discussion boards.
So one, like, I would like to like maybe do like something about like interactivity in the online environment. Like so like as a side note, like if you look in the chat or even at my name right now, you see a whole bunch of emojis. Like does it like so a tip, because I learned this like less than 2 weeks ago of how to get the emojis in Zoom. You press the Windows key in the period on your keyboard at the same time and then start typing, and then the word that you want the emoji for will come up. And so sometimes like during class, like I'll respond in the Zoom chat with emojis now because it like the students seem to like that a little better. So that's just something like I would never have guessed. It's Windows key on the keyboard and period at the same time will bring them up, but it's you know, it is what it is. Oh, yeah. Lisa, yes, I'm gonna email it to you, but like it's that type of year.
Okay.
Any other topics? Because I'm thinking maybe like having these sharing sessions like once a month in the spring. It's like late January might be the next one. That's what I was thinking.
Sounds good.
Unless you all want to have one like before the end of the fall semester with everything happening.
MichMATYC Zoom holiday party. Why not?
No, I do like them just because you see, well, I mean, there are a lot of OCC people here, but you see and hear stuff that's going on other places, and like to hear like that Lacomb's already thinking about May of 2022, that holy smokes, that needs to be on our radar at least. You know, like I would have never known that, and Julie might have brought it up sometime, and we all would have looked at it like, Julie's just hanging these up. Let's not pay attention. You know? So yeah, so I do think these are great. So yeah, I mean, I hope either before the end of the semester or to come next semester would be awesome.
Okay. I'll look into like first or second week, first week or early second week of December. We can talk about discussion boards because it's something that we might all need before the spring.
Right.
All right. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'll send out the information for the next meeting.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.